You're listening to the Roofr Report. Tune in for exclusive interviews with roofing experts and insights from leaders who walk the walk. Grow with Roofr, and your host, Pete McKendrick.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Roofr Report. I'm your host, Pete McKendrick. And once again, we're back here with our Roofer of the Month, our new series. Heading into July here, we have our new Roofer of the Month, Ben Morrow. Many of you guys know him as Ben Tiger from RoofTiger. So welcome, Ben.
Thanks,
Happy to
Pete.
have you on.
Yeah, happy to be here, and I'm really honored to be the Roofer of the Month. This is awesome, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a great series. We've been able to showcase some great people and some of our power users, but also some people that have really done well in the industry and really excelled here. And one of the things that I've noticed with all of the Roofer of the Months that we've had so far, I've been lucky enough to interview everybody, and it's all been people that have found success in their own unique ways, but in a very short amount of time. We talked to Joe Andrews, who has found success in like a year and a half in business. Amanda Vinot, who many people will know, was our May Roofer of the Month. John Tucker, who kind of has a different approach, but has found success in a short amount of time. And then obviously you, who really has excelled here in a short amount of time with your business. And so I guess give a little bit of background, if just in case someone listening doesn't know RoofTiger and doesn't know Ben. What you guys have going on and how you guys kind of got to where you are, and then we'll talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Ben Morrow, also known as Benjamin Tiger on social media. Started RoofTiger in 2020, height of the pandemic, and basically grew to, we've done right around $20 million in sales since that inception, and started Solar Panther, our solar division, in 2021, a year later. Really just running and gunning, man, learning from the best. And just constantly watching people and how they do business and trying to emulate that. I wish I'd say it was something unique. I really feel like I've just watched the industry grow over the last 4 years, and I try to do things that people have found success in. I don't have to reinvent the wheel 100 times. Just do what people are doing successfully and copy it in our own way and make it successful. So I wish I could say that I was unique, but I think that my story is one of just duplicating the best things that people do long before I've done it. And so, yeah, that's what we've done over the last 4 years. And we've done well over 700 or 800 roofs and 150 solar systems. And this is us. That's what we do.
Yeah, it's funny. I used to work in the manufacturing field, and our boss, the guy who ran our plant, used to say, the way to be successful is to figure out who did it best and shamelessly steal from them. And he was right. Like, you kind of take the best pieces of everybody and kind of figure out how you fit it into your process. And like you said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Somebody's probably done it before, so you just kind of figure out how you fit it to what you guys are doing.
You got it. Yeah, and I think that there's brilliant people in the roofing industry that are not on camera that I've met at conferences and stuff, but the people who do put their stuff out on video, I'm watching. And it's cool because it's created this community of like, I'm giving people props of where they're deserved, and it's built this community of people that I can trust and text and mentor me through this process of being an entrepreneur. So I love it. And the roofing industry is unique in a lot of different ways, but it's not unique in general business practice. And I think watching people who are really good over this time frame has just helped me excel.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I respect that you guys have done as good as anybody is we often preach on a lot of our stuff at Rise events and on our masterclass about being that neighborhood roofer and really like focusing on becoming well known in your local community. And I think it's kind of a mistake that a lot of new roofers make is you think, I need more leads, so I need to expand my territory, and now I'm covering a lot of ground, or hey, we found success, let's immediately go look to expand maybe into the neighboring state or something like that. And you guys have done a really good job of kind of playing in your own backyard and continuing to find success by just strengthening that relationship with your community. And that's one thing that I really respect that you guys have done, because you've essentially proven that model that we kind of preach about all the time is, does your neighborhood know who you are? Are you the neighborhood roofer?
Yes. There's a saying in real estate that real estate is national, but it's regional and local. And I think that's very true in the roofing industry, that everybody has a roof in the United States, right? If you live in a house. But you're going to call somebody who's local to you, and if you're known in the region and known in the locale, they'll call you first if you're trusted. And I think in creating content, my content is mostly focused on people here in Peoria because that's where I sell roofs. So I think the opposite is true, that don't focus on the national landscape and creating content for everybody. It's just not true. Focus on restaurants, focus on people that live near you, and become the beacon of trust for those people. And you'll see your business explode. And there's a lot more houses than you think. People always think like, oh, I'm running out of houses to roof. Not necessarily true. You haven't roofed them all, and there's more pockets where you can find. And there's hundreds of thousands of people in Peoria, 250,000. I know people in markets of 1 million plus. Man, you're blessed to have that. So don't give up. Just tap into that network and stay there, because it will just continue to be a snowball effect.
Well, and like one of the things that I like what you guys have done too is you diversified, right? So
Yeah.
like for instance, like let's say you were in a very small town and the roofs are essentially drying up, let's say, right? Which,
Yep.
like you said, isn't necessarily reality, but we can definitely see that picture. Or I would say like, oh, my leads are slowing down. I'm in a small town. Maybe there aren't as many roofs as I would hope here. But what you guys did is you diversified to where now you have the solar option as well. So it kind of gives you another avenue to continue to excel in your own neighborhood.
Yes.
And not have to expand into these other areas and travel further and open other offices and all these other things.
Yeah, I knew. I actually cut my teeth in the bathroom industry, and one thing that was very prominent in there is there's only two ways to expand your business. One, you can expand your location of where you install, or two, you can install more products. And so we created a second brand in Solar Panther, and that's been very profitable for us. I don't recommend everybody get in solar. You have to be very technical and very sound in your installation and how you do business, because there's a lot of riffraff in the solar community. But that's the first thing I'll recommend is for people who do roofing: siding, gutters, windows. These things are all really profitable things you can do, and it's the same business model as your roofing company. You just have to know how to market it. Again, don't go into things that you don't know anything about unless you're really skilled. You can get a lot of trouble there. But as long as you can uphold the same standard as your roofing company, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think that it's easy to say yes. It's easy to be there and then say, hey, you're here looking at my roof. Can you look at this? Can you look at that? And it's easy to say yes. But like you said, I think it's a really good point to make sure that you feel confident and comfortable delving into that stuff and not agreeing to do some stuff or take on some trades that potentially you aren't familiar with as an owner or a staff, and put
Yes.
yourself in a bad position, because that could, in today's day and age, especially with the Google review,
Yes.
things can go downhill fast for you, right?
It all starts and ends with labor at the end, and so you have to have really skilled technicians. And as people know watching this, that roofers are relatively easy to find. Technically sound siding, windows, gutters, solar guys are not as easy to find. So you either have to create that market yourself, or you have to find those people, and that's not an easy thing to do. So be careful in opening new businesses, but also don't let it hold you back if you think it's profitable and it can expand your revenue.
Yeah, I like that. So I think a lot of people talk about you as kind of like a branding guru, right? Like obviously the tiger stripes on everything, the Solar Panther, and you guys sticking with that theme, and that has evolved like into your own brand, right? Your own personal brand there of Ben Tiger, and you just have done a really good job with that. And I think that you've told that story, and I know like even at Rise, like you got up on that stage and we've talked about that. So I love the way that you guys diversified yourself there. But as you guys continue now to grow and kind of get more seasoned as a company, what are some of the things that you're doing to continue to stand out from the crowd?
Yeah. Construction excellence. So this year we've devoted a lot more resources towards construction management versus marketing. Our marketing continues to hum along, but just being extra careful. We have a foreman on site throughout the entire job process now. That's something I took from Cornerstone Construction down in I think it's South Carolina or Georgia. Yeah, and they're really good at construction management, just making sure the customer experience is top tier. Monarch Roofing, I think, does the same thing. And so just devoting extra resources towards making sure the customer experience when we're actually roofing is just like top tier. It's easy in the roofing industry, if you're watching this as a roofing contractor, to kind of just believe that your guys are doing the right thing. And most of the time that is the case. But just devoting extra resources to make sure exactly what you said in the sales process is being carried out in construction, that's one of the biggest bridges to gap. And so the roofing industry is a lot of money. You make a lot of money per job, but making sure to allocate enough dollars to make sure that it's like premium experience. It costs money to do so.
So let's get into that a little bit, because I like exactly what you said, right? Like, this is something that we've recently talked about, and I know it was a big part of our last Rise tour. And I think that at the end of the day, everything kind of evolves from that customer experience. Like, if you go into building your process around how do we offer the best customer experience in this world-class elite customer experience to set ourselves apart,
Yeah.
it makes it easier to develop a process around that, right? And I know from experience, a lot of guys in this industry are very knowledgeable when it comes to the production end of things, right? Like, a lot of them have started we're nailing on shingles, so
Yes.
production is their bread and butter. So it's very easy, like you said, it's very easy for them to kind of like run a crew and get guys up there and make sure that everything's being installed correctly. But at the same time, like, there's other pieces to that. There's other facets to that to make sure that the customer understands what's happening. Like you said, to make sure that you're doing exactly what you sold them on, and build that customer relationship, and build that world-class experience. And I think so that's really interesting that you touched on that, because it's something that has been big on my mind, and it's something that we talked about a little bit at Rises. Maybe if you start to make that the focus, right, it changes how you look at your process in general.
Yes. I think that everybody comes in the roofing industry from different angles, right? Some people come in as a world-class installer. Some people come in as a sales person. Some people come in as an entrepreneur. You have different skill sets naturally that you build over time. And for me, it was always marketing and sales, which I continue to just get better at. But some people might come in on the construction background when they know exactly where everything's supposed to go. That was not me. So I had to learn over time how to get better at that and how to put people in positions to be better at that, and then naturally focus on my marketing efforts to continue to grow our brand. So everybody comes in at a certain angle. You have to know the different facets of how to build a business, and then hire people to follow that process or to create the process to make that better. So a lot of the feedback we got last year was we were great in sales, we're great in marketing, but some of our install process was not as clean as what we hoped. So in 2024, it's like heavy assets towards making this the best. And let's kind of slow down our construction process and really pick it apart and make even from before install to the day before, to the day of, to the day after, we want to make sure that that's seamless and consistently. I mean, one word that everybody should focus on is just communication. Communication is so valuable in making sure that customer experience is good. And I think that in using roofers tools, in using tools like Company Cam to take pictures, these things are really important. And just whatever tool you use it to its fullest ability, because customers want that. They want to know what the heck is going on with their roof. And so however you can communicate that forward is like very valuable.
Yeah, I think that's key. And it is a good point. I think in today's day and age, it's probably easier than it's ever been to keep that line to be proactive in that communication. The automations and all of these products that are built now to facilitate that communicating with the customer and internally too with your own team. I think that now's the time to really kind of master that and make that a huge part of your business, because it is easier than it's ever been before. We're not in a situation where my salesman has to be on the phone all day putting out fires with customers. We can be much more proactive than we've ever been through these systems. So one of the things I like that you touched on is you kind of said in a roundabout way, you said that you more or less like hire to your weaknesses, right? Like you identify the areas that you're the strongest at. Like for you, it was sales and marketing. You didn't come from the construction side of it. So you're kind of filling the gaps with people that are smarter than you in those areas. And I think that's a big part, especially for someone who's newer, right? Recognizing like, hey, maybe this is a weakness for me. And instead of me trying to just wing it, maybe I should go get somebody, right, that actually knows this a little bit better than me. For you, what was probably the most significant hire early on?
I'd say in short order, a CFO. So I know enough to be dangerous in finances. I study finance, I've studied numbers, but I'm not the guy to crunch spreadsheets month over month. So I think that our CFO here is a friend of mine. He's been in finance for all of his life. Hiring that person to really know our back end numbers, to know where we're losing money and where we're gaining money is really important. And so having him give a very vivid view of this is where we should go. Very simply, we're in business to make money. We're not in business for free. So knowing where to allocate your dollars to get your best return is really valuable. And then he's also in team with our production manager. So the production manager and the CFO working together to find out the best materials, the best costs, installed the right way is like really key for our salespeople in the front. I've heard many stories of people selling a lot of dollars and then losing money. That's a common story.
It is super smart. I mean, I remember when I first started in this industry and I worked at the CRM and I would talk to contractors. One of the things that we would hear the most was them struggling to understand finances. Like we would ask things like, what is your profit margin? And things of that nature. And you'd get all kinds of answers all over the board. Like, hey, whatever's left over at the end of the job, that's my profit. Or like, oh, I don't really invoice customers. I just ask them for a check at the end of the job. Like it was very kind of, like you said, enough to be dangerous, but not enough to really like know what was going on. And and I think that that's even more prevalent nowadays, now that you have PE firms kind of entering the picture and potentially making offers. And if you're a roofing contractor that's looking to exit maybe in the future, that becomes of the utmost importance of having all of that financial stuff in line and understanding where you're at on your numbers and what your profitability is. That's going to be one of the first things that they look at. So that's a smart take for sure.
With knowing your weaknesses is huge. And in the entrepreneur game, since you're starting a business from scratch, there's a lot of pride involved of being like, this is my baby, and you want to think you know it all. And the quicker you get to the point where you don't know it all and that you can hire people that are better than you in certain areas, the faster you'll go. So hiring your weaknesses is a huge takeaway from running a business.
Yeah, one of the other things that you mentioned there, which I thought was key, is the feedback piece. Like you said, based on our feedback, we realized that we were lacking. Talk about a little bit like how you guys are doing that. How are you getting feedback from customers, and then how are you how are you guys utilizing that internally and then making those adjustments?
Sure. I think that RoofTiger's success has been a constant reinvention process of the main core tenets of marketing and sales has not changed. It's like we want to be the best. We want to present ourselves as professionals, but also like talking to customers every day and saying, did this go well? Shaking somebody's hand. Was this up to your standard? And the more concrete feedback of, yes, this has been great, or no, this has been not, whatever feedback you get that was like, hey, Ben, I get a lot of the feedback like this, 90% great, but X, Y, and Z did not go exactly how you said. Okay, cool. How did it actually go and how can we fix it? Creating a process to solve that specific problem. And so constantly reinventing yourself of knowing your weakness, seeing the problems, and then changing. Not just saying you're going to change, but actually doing something to mitigate the problem is everything.
Yeah, I love that, because I think that so many times people think like, well, I'm figure out a process. We'll write this process down on paper, or we'll build this process in our CRM, and then that's it. We'll just live by the process. And it's great advice. Like that process should be constantly being tweaked and improved and changed and modified to find. There's always opportunities in any process that you look at, no matter how efficient a company is. I can guarantee you that there's holes or weaknesses or opportunities in that process that they could do better, and they probably know it. And so like, what are you doing to find those opportunities and then to make those improvements? I love it.
And then going back to what we said when we first opened this, Pete, it's finding people who do it better than you, right? And the roofing industry is actually pretty friendly. If you just I've reached out to many people on Facebook that do things really well, and I'm like, hey man, can I steal 15 minutes of your time? And can I just ask you a bunch of questions? And then most of the time people will be like, yeah, heck yeah, I'll be willing to talk to you. But a lot of people don't let their pride down enough to do that. And so I think that's just staying nimble and knowing that people do things really well, that they're ahead of you 10 years. So you can take that knowledge and implement it. That's what we do in our wintertime, Pete, is we ask people a bunch of questions and then reinvent our process based on what they do better. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's interesting. We did a masterclass with Ty Meredith from MHI.
How's the man? Shout out Ty Meredith.
Yeah, and they recently went through the whole PE acquisition thing. And one of the things that he talked about was the power of the conglomerate that they're building there with the other roofing companies is that they can capitalize off of, I do this best and you do this piece best, and now we can put this together and build this mammoth process that's really sound, because we're taking the best of all these companies. And
Yes.
so I think it's super smart advice. I think 10 years ago, I don't know that you would have been able to pick up the phone and call a competitor and be like, hey, what are you guys doing good? But
Yeah.
the roofing industry has definitely changed. Guys like Ty and Ty Backer and
Yes.
Monarch, you mentioned, and Cornerstone, like all of those guys are doing a lot of work to kind of make it more of a community, and realize like, hey, we're competitors, but we're all in this together and we can help each other out. And I think that as we move forward, it's helping the industry as a whole to become better, more advanced, and just do a better job altogether. Because like, I think you even said it in your Rise speech, people don't trust contractors, right? So we got to change that image, and it's going to take a long time to do that. And so it's interesting to see how the evolution of the industry for sure, and how
Yes.
people are now working together to help each other out.
If you go to McDonald's and you have a bad meal there, you still will probably go back to McDonald's at some point in the future, right?
Yeah.
If you redo your roof one time in 10 years or 20 years and you have a bad experience, what's the likelihood of that person calling you back for the second roof, or more importantly, recommending you to your neighbors? So we've got one shot, in Eminem's words, one shot, one opportunity to make it right. So you better deploy assets toward that project to make sure that's perfect, or close to perfect as possible, so that they'll recommend you to your friends. They'll write a Google review. They'll rant about you on Facebook. These things are all snowball effects. And if you have the opposite, where you have a bad experience, they'll probably shout you out even more to their neighbors to say, don't use this guy. So there's this risk reward. If you have a bad meal at McDonald's, the chances of you going to Facebook is slim. You probably just will wait a little bit of time, and then when you get hungry, you stop on the side of the road, right?
Yeah.
But in roofing company, it doesn't work that way. We've got one chance to make it right, and so you better be ready to harness the responsibility of that.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. I recently had some plumbing that needed to be done at the house, and I just asked some other contractors that I knew, like, hey, do you have a plumber? Got some names, called the first guy, goes to voicemail. A day later, he doesn't return the voicemail. So I just essentially wrote him off. Went to the next guy. His voicemail was full, right? So I couldn't even leave him a message. And then the third guy was the winner. I actually sent him a message, texted him a message, and he responded within like 5 minutes. And I was like, this guy got the job. Like, I didn't even ask how much it was going to cost. I just said like, hey, this guy responded to me in 5 minutes. He's willing to come right over and do the work in a reasonable amount of time. I think the next day or something like that. And he won the job just on being the one person who communicated. Like, never even asked what it was going to cost me for him to do it. He just came over and did it. And the other two guys probably would have been the same thing if they would have picked up the phone. So and it kind of played. And it was funny as it was happening. I was thinking about you saying, people don't trust contractors, and I'm like, this is why, right?
Well, dude, just I mean, Pete, it's almost laughable, but how low has the bar been set in contracting? How low has it been set?
It's a shame, right? Like,
we cheer at the fact of somebody answering their phone. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So think about that when you're starting a business, or if you're trying to build a strong business. The first thing you should employ assets towards is answering the damn phone.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, why are you putting yourself out there as a reliable option? So the first contact they have with you is everything. I remember watching a video, Pete, maybe you've seen it online, of John Taffer. He's the famous restaurateur. He does that one show where he goes in and reinvents a restaurant.
Right, yeah.
When he talked about how, I think, if somebody has a good experience at your restaurant, the chances they're going to visit you a second time is 80%. But if they have a bad experience, it's like near zero.
Yeah.
So the first time you interact with somebody on your product is everything. And if you're starting a restaurant right now, the first week or two, man, you should be training for months on that first week.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we think in roofing, where if we open up a business and we put ourselves out there, that all of a sudden that you don't deploy assets towards answering your phones, making sure it's a seamless sales process. Man, you should be doing everything in your power to train your people, to answer it correctly, to represent the company well, and to sell your product. That is 90% of the battle. It really is, before they write a check to you.
It's interesting. I have a good friend who went into real estate, and he had, in his first year, he had this just exceptional year in real estate. And I said to him, like, what's the secret? Like, how did you, I mean, I know you like to talk, but damn, you don't know anything about real estate. And here you are having this banner year. And he said to me, the key to my success is answering the phone. He's like, whenever it rings, whether it's 7 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock at night, if the phone rings, he said, I answer it. He goes,
Yep.
and 9 times out of 10, I win the job because I'm the only person who answered their phone. And he said, that's what people tell me time and time again is, I can't believe you actually answered your phone.
Got it.
So it's not unique to contracting,
No.
but it's huge. But it's a huge part of it. And like you said, like if it's not part of your process right up front, like you're in trouble already.
Yes. And yeah, that's where everything flows is the first time they contact your company, the sales process. Are you building the trust? Obviously, we have ridiculous, you can see the Tiger logo behind us for those not familiar, but our trucks are wrapped in tiger stripes. So we're very forward in our marketing. So imagine if you saw all these trucks driving around and then you call us and we don't answer.
Right.
What happens the next time you see a Tiger truck?
Yeah.
Negativity.
Negative.
Yeah. And then you're like, and then somebody brings a name up at a party. Oh, who has talked with RoofTiger? And somebody says, yeah, I called them last week. And then they answer the phone. All of a sudden, it's a backwards trend. So
Right.
we're taking a big risk in putting ourselves out there, and that's why we have to be so sharp. Because when you put yourself out there and you're flamboyant, you're marketing, you got to back it up. So it puts a amount of pressure on your company to perform, which I like the pressure. I want our guys to feel pressure to be the best.
Yeah.
And then also,
Well, and it goes back to that, like we talked about that world-class experience, right? From the initial phone call, you need to have that mindset of like, hey, we're going to answer the phone and this is going to be world-class from the very beginning. And then I think that's where some people falter. It's like, oh yeah, like I know what I'm doing. I'm a world-class installer. I've been doing it for 20 years, whatever the case may be, but there's a lot more to that than just being great at physically doing the job or running that crew. So
if somebody's out there watching this and you're doing 30 roofs in a year or 50 roofs in a year and you want to stay that size, by all means, be that person and be that person that is a one-man show. That's no big deal. But if you're looking to scale and you're looking to something bigger than yourself, you have to think about these things to start with. You can't be naive in the sense of saying, oh, I can just do it how I did last year. That's not going to cut it. You have to think bigger than yourself.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that you guys now are focusing on production, because that's something that I've preached for a long time is like, I think it's one of the most overlooked things. Like you go to all these conferences and everybody that gets up on stage is telling you this is how your team needs to sell and this is things you can do better in your sales process and all of this stuff. And no one really talks about, the production end of things and how integral it is. Like you could sell, I can produce a ton of leads and close a bunch of sales, but if they bottleneck at my production, we're in trouble, right? Like we're going to have a lot of bad reviews on Google. So, so it's interesting that you guys now are focusing on that and making that a main piece in that world-class experience. Cause I think it is a huge overlooked in general in the industry. I think we overlook it.
At the same time, I totally agree with you. You can't have a production problem until you have a sales problem first.
Right.
If you're doing six roofs in a year, you don't have problems. You have so you can't really have a product of scale or issues in your production. You can't even know about it until you've got so many that you don't even know. Some people are like, yeah, we did this install for you, and I don't even know the customer anymore. That's great. That means somebody else sold the job, and I don't know the customer's name, but I want to make sure that on the back end that we're giving enough support to these install pieces to make sure that even if I don't even know if an install is happening, I know I can trust my team took care of it.
Yeah, I like that. Now, do you guys do any kind of like a final walkthrough or meeting with the customer after? Because that's something that I think was, as when I would work with contractors and we would see their process, very hit and miss. Some guys would say like, we have it as a very integral piece of our process, and other guys were like, not unless we have an issue, then obviously we're going back out there. But other than that, it's kind of like hammer it out, pack up, and get out of there. So
it depends. I think that we have a foreman on site 100% of the time when a job's being done. So they're watching the project as it goes, taking a bunch of pictures. We're sharing those pictures with the customer as we go so they can see the project. But then we pick up materials usually the next morning after the job is finished. Sometimes we get finished late at night, as you guys know. So the next day is really that time to cool everything over with the customer, make sure everything went well. But really, I think that the key to a strong finish is everything in the middle. So as long as the customer's staying in touch and they trust the foreman, that's the key to, if an issue pops up of 3 nails they found on the ground, you can easily smooth that over. But if you're not having that attention to detail in the middle part, the end, if they don't trust you, is much harder. That's when you have a lot more issues where people are like, oh my gosh, this didn't get taken care of, this didn't get taken care of. You should be doing those things as you go.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
So to answer your question directly, Pete, we don't have a specific process to do an end walkthrough. I think that's maybe next year's thing. But our middle part is getting way, way better.
Yeah, and I think that you guys are, like you said, I think there are some companies that are doing it, but I think it is fairly unique to have a foreman that's there the entire job. The job is going over. Like I was in general contracting where we're doing kitchens and baths, the projects that were taking us months, and we
Yes.
didn't have a foreman that was there full time. He would come.
Yes.
He would be on the job, check in with the homeowner, make sure everybody was doing what they needed to do and that we had everything we needed. And then he's off to another job site, right? And
Yep.
so I think it is a bit unique in that aspect. But like you said, I think it makes a huge difference in building that relationship and that trust, and makes it a lot easier if you do have something go wrong to kind of fix it with the homeowner really quickly.
You bet. And as people know, the installers in the roofing industry are 95% probably Hispanic. And so you have a language barrier there where you can't really talk to the people that install the roofs. And so having that person on site who can speak and who can vouch for both the install team and for the homeowner, this is somebody's home where they have their kids there to protect. And so we have to be conscious of that. This is not just a dollar revenue game. This is somebody's home. So being very meticulous in your construction practices and how you talk to people, I can't stress that enough. But again, I think that takes to some people hiring a foreman just to do that. It's a costly thing. It costs tens of thousands of dollars a year. So being very conscious of your money as well. You have to make it make sense.
Yeah. And I would imagine that it makes you guys much more responsive on the production end of things too, by having a foreman
Yes.
there. Like I said, going back to my experience, like if as the crew lead and those guys on a job site, let's say we run into an issue and we need an answer or something, we could be on the phone and waiting for someone to come
Yes.
for hours. Like job may be at a standstill, waiting on materials or waiting on someone to come make a executive decision there. So I'm
Yes.
sure that actually helps with your customer experience as well, that you guys have
100%.
someone there that can make that call and it be very responsive.
You got it. That's something we learned from Cornerstone, and big ups to those guys. They taught us a lot of these concepts, and they took a lot of time with us in the wintertime. And yeah, I'm very thankful for that team for allowing us to see into their company and how they do things.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what does the future look like for RoofTiger
Yeah.
maybe over the next couple of years here?
That's a great point, Pete. I've considered many things. Again, only two ways to expand your company's revenue. You expand to a different city, or you do new product lines. We're looking into both very seriously right now. I'm not going to share too many details, but you can be pretty sure that it's a big cat. But yeah, expanding territory and expanding product lines is going to be in our future.
I like it. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's been great talking to you. I don't want to keep you too long today.
Yes.
I know this is a busy time of the season for everybody, so it's been great. I'm honored to have you guys as the roofer of the month here for July. I always respect what you guys are doing over there, and you and I have become friends. So it's been fun to watch the journey of RoofTiger and what you guys have going on. And
Thank you.
so I know all of us here at Roofr, you guys are Roofr users, and all of us here at
Yes, sir.
Roofers are big fans of RoofTiger. So excited to have you guys as the July roofer of the month, and I want to thank everyone for watching, and thank Ben for joining us here today to give us some insight into RoofTiger. And any last words, Ben? Anything?
Last words.
Any golden nuggets here?
Yes, big ups to Roofr. I don't say this just as a company shill. I say this as somebody who's a avid user of the product. I love not only the product that they have, but the people that they have. Pete is just one of many who's incredible. And I'd say that what Roofr is building actually influences the roofing industry in a positive way. You can't say that about every company who joins. And I say that Roofr has been a tremendous partner to us, and I'm very thankful for the relationship we have. We use them multiple times a day for roof measurements and for their tools. So I can't stress enough that if you're somebody looking for a CRM, for measurement tools, or for all the products they offer, I know you guys have a lot more than just that. Give this company their props, because they're building something that roofers will actually use and understand. So Thank you guys so much for having me, and I can't be thankful enough of our relationship here for RoofTiger to Roofr.
I appreciate that, man. And I think that going back to like what you said, Roofr, we have the same mentality. Like it's all about that customer experience and doing a lot of the same things that you're doing in your business, customer feedback and constantly tweaking the process. We do that every single day here at Roofr. We've been lucky enough to hire some incredible people who, are constantly giving some great insight and doing tons of research and figuring out better ways to do things. So we're just like you guys. We're constantly evolving every day, and we appreciate the props there because it's a lot of hard work to do what we're doing, and we enjoy it. We enjoy being able to help you guys out and give you guys that great customer experience that we you've been known for here recently. So it's good.
One last question, Pete. Are you going to be at RoofCon or Roofing Process this year?
Yes, we will be at RoofCon. I assume we'll be at Roofing Process as well.
Are you personally going to be there?
Personally, I will definitely be at RoofCon.
Let's go. Sure. All right. Yes.
I will be at RoofCon. Right. Yeah.
We'll be there as well. I'm bringing like 4 people with me this time, and baby's coming as well. Baby's due in August, so he'll be down there as well.
Oh, we'll actually have the baby as well. So
nice.
So the babies can meet.
Love it, dude.
Awesome. All right, Ben, thank you for joining us, and thank you for everybody for watching. And congrats to RoofTiger on the July Roofr of the Month. And awesome. We will see you guys next time on the Roofr Report.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening. Check us out next time on the Roofr Podcast. But until then, be sure to like us, subscribe to us, and check out all our other episodes on YouTube and Spotify.